Hey friends, my name is Chad Brooks and I am the Congregational Vitality Strategist in the Louisiana Conference United Methodist Church. Now that is a really fancy way of saying that my job is to make sure all 260 United Methodist churches in Louisiana are as healthy as they can be. And this spring I wrote a book called Is My Church Healthy? Did you know that median-sized church in the United States is around 60 people? What that means is that their church isn't small, your church is actually normal. And most of the people who talk about these sorts of things are creating resources for much larger churches. And I want to talk with you in this video a little bit about the broad idea of what this book is, the methodology behind it, why I use it in every single church I work in Louisiana. It's the first thing we actually do. I named the book Is My Church Healthy? Because so many times when I get a phone call of a church in our area, United Methodist Church, that's the thing that pastor's asking. That's the thing that the leadership might be freaking out about a little. And one of the things we found out, and this is not just for United Methodist churches, this is not just for mainline churches, I think this is for many of these just normal sized churches, is that what they're dealing with is not a bad church or a good church, that there are just systemic things that affect small churches and the ways that our world has just rapidly changed over the last 5 to 10 years. And a lot of the times the ways to answer these questions can be relatively simple. And so the whole book is about the vitality matrix that we've created that really just helps you answer that question, is my church healthy? And in the book, I go into what does it might mean to move from this unstable category into the stable category. This conversation is my absolute bread and butter. Now, the way that we like to operate here in Louisiana and what this book is about is we've really understood that there are 4 different categories of churches. There are unstable churches, stable churches, vital churches, and sustainable churches. And inside of those 4 stages of vitality, we've actually identified 7 core categories: member care and relationship, objective metric measurements, financial health, ministry opportunities, new member integration, evangelism, and measured congregational engagement. Now, I go into all of these things inside of the book, but what I will tell you is this, that vitality is not linear, that it is possible to see a congregation that's kind of all across the scope of these things. And we've got a killer little one-page resource that we use to give to people and to churches as they start figuring this thing out. But what I want to do in this video, and I'm going to make a bunch of videos about the book because I care so much about this content. And so if you want to go over and grab the book, there's a link in the description to the Amazon link where you can buy it. But really to talk about these 4 categories, or 4 stages. I call them stages in the book. I've got to remember to call them stages in the video. But these 4 stages of vitality. So unstable. An unstable congregation, the way that you're doing ministry right now as is probably actually making things worse. I like to look at medical terminology when I talk about these categories. If you're unstable, it means you're actively dying. Okay, so just that right there. An unstable church, just their business as usual is actually making them decline. A stable church, and remember, go back to the medical analogy here. If your vitals are stable, what that means is that you're not dying. Stability doesn't mean safe. I share a story in the book about a conversation with a biologist who simply told me that any living organism will collapse to the point of stability, but that's not safe. So a stable church, they've either done the tough work to get completely out of all of the areas of instability, or they've declined and managed to right-size themselves until they get stable. But all stable means is you're not actively dying. A vital church are churches that have done the work to get out of stability, that they are seeing growth in their ministry, but they're still having to be really intentional with the systems and with what might be coming next. A sustainable church is going to be self-replicating. These are churches that have done the tough work, have built the systems, have trained up the leaders, and have asked all of the difficult, tough ministry questions to where their church is actively multiplying itself. Now, remember I said, vitality doesn't exist on any sort of a linear spectrum. I'm going to make more videos about this, but just those 4 categories right there. If you serve in a local church, or if you go to a local church, with that quick description of what those stages of vitality, unstable, stable, vital, sustainable, mean, where do you feel like your church might be? So thanks for watching this video. Again, I'm Chad Brooks. A couple things. If you want to connect, I have an email list with my research and my work inside of Normal Size Church Health. You can subscribe to that at the link down below. Also, go to Amazon and pick up your own copy of Is My Church Healthy? I would love to see you engage with that. There's also tons of really cool free resources that come with the book. And so if your church needs to begin a vitality journey, this is a really inexpensive way for you to just discern exactly where your church is and answer that big question, is my church healthy?